The reason guys struggle to get in shape is not because they don't know enough. In fact, they probably know too much. They're watching the most advanced guys and thinking that's what they have to do, but totally disregarding the 10 and 15 steps that those guys that they're watching took to get in shape in the first place. That's like me saying I want to whip a ball like Beckham, but I can't even make a 5-yard pass. But the fitness industry does not help things at all, because it's constantly pushing the next thing, the optimal training plan, the advanced protocol, and it's making people feel like the basics just don't work and they're too simple to work. But here's what 8 years of coaching hundreds of men have showed me. The guys who lose 20 to 30 pounds don't do anything complicated. They nail the basics and stick to them consistently. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 4 things that I go back to every single time when working with a client, no matter where they're starting from. Because I know when these 4 things are in place, it makes everything else feel so much easier. And I bet right now that you're frustrated with your results or lack of results. And at least one of these things is not where it needs to be. The first thing I want to talk about is a structured training plan. Most guys have no plan at all, or they have tried a complicated plan in the past that just falls apart when work gets busy. A structured training program doesn't need to be really advanced or have some complicated method or include chains and bands and whatever, right? It needs to be consistent, because doing something good over a long period of time beats doing something perfectly for 1 week. And when I say a training program, it means knowing what you're doing when you're walking into the gym, not having to guess or see whatever is free. And it also means knowing what you're lifting, so you know for a fact that you are progressing your weight over time, because I see far too many guys lifting the same weights they did 3 months ago, and that's just holding you back. And if you're one of those guys who hasn't got a training program, or you struggle to be consistent with it, then in the description below, you'll find my free 45-minute training program, and it's pretty much exactly what it says. You'll have 3 sessions, 45 minutes each, to be able to complete through the week, giving you structure, letting you know what you're going to do when you walk into the gym. So if you're struggling, go grab that now for free. The second thing I want to talk about is a nutritional approach. Nutrition can be as complicated and as big as you want it to be, but it can also be really simple. And that's what I help my guys to do, is make it simple. Because what happens is a lot of the time is you have an approach or you try a plan and it just falls away right away as soon as life gets busy. Same as your training program. You probably aren't tracking things nowhere near enough, so you don't know what you're eating, so you're wondering why things aren't changing. Or you're trying something super restrictive and you have a client dinner and your whole week gets thrown out the window because of that one meal. That's why we're building out nutritional approach. It needs to provide you clarity, not confusion. You want to be able to go into each day knowing what you're having, that it's helping you get to where you want to be. Not grabbing things on the fly with no real idea or thought and just saying, well, it'll do. But you're probably thinking, well, that's great, Sam, but how do I actually make it simple? Well, this is where you've got to take a look at your current lifestyle and your current habits. But there are a couple of things that I would do and focus on to make it simple. So just focus on your calories and your protein. They are the 2 things that I want you to focus on moving forward. And the thing I want you to do is I want you to log this next week of eating. Everything you eat, log it down. Right? Whether that's you just write it down or you take pictures and then at the end of the week, you review it and you try and track it and you get your calories. Because then the next week, I want you to plan out what you're going to eat, giving you clarity, letting you know that when you go into a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Friday, that you know what you're having, a Saturday that you know you're going out for a meal that you can plan for. Being able to see things as clearly as possible through the week is what is going to make your nutritional approach simple. The third thing that I think people overlook massively is sleep. This is a massively underrated tool in the whole process of getting in shape, whether that's you're trying to maintain a look, you're trying to lose fat, you're trying to build muscle. Sleep is the underlying key to performance. And most guys just throw it to one side and treat it like it's a luxury. Because you can have a great training program and a really simple nutritional approach, but if you're sleeping 5 hours a day, everything is going to feel much harder and you're going to have a battle every single day. Poor sleep increases your hunger hormones, it decreases training performance, and it impacts your daily decision making. But I also see guys who wear Whoops and Oura rings are still getting poor sleep, and it drives me insane because you have all the answers right there in the palm of your hand, but you can tell me how bad your sleep score is, but you're not doing anything to fix it. Make sleep a little bit more of a priority than it already is. I'm not saying you have to get 8-9 hours, but just try and improve. You literally have the answer on your wrist. Use it. And the last thing I want to talk about, and the simplest thing on this list, and the one most people will overlook, is steps. Simply walking more. Because right now, your steps are probably very low, being sat at a desk all day and you don't go out for a walk. But being able to increase your steps over time. Now, I'm not saying you need to go to 10,000 right away, but 10,000 calories on average will burn 350 to 500 calories. And that will make a massive difference in creating that deficit for you without having to eat any less food. So let's say you are at your maintenance and you start to increase your step count. You're going to burn more calories, putting yourself into a deficit without having to eat any less food. Nice. So what I would suggest is looking and starting to track your steps, whether that's with your phone, whether that's with a watch, and looking at your average for this next week. Then off the back of that, try and get 2,000 more steps a day on average next week. That way you're increasing it. It won't take up a lot more and much more of your time, right? It's low stress. You can do it anywhere, anytime. It's very low fatigue. And that way you are increasing your output. Again, creating a deficit, you can have two levers. You can pull the nutritional lever or you can pull the activity lever. And this way we're pulling the activity lever, and it's a very low cost activity. So if you want to be able to put all these things into practice because you feel one of these isn't where it needs to be, but you just don't know where to start, I actually offer 4 weeks free coaching, which you can find in a link in the description below. There's no catch, there's no hidden cost or anything like that. It's a chance for you to see how I work and a chance for you to nail these basics to be able to see the results that you deserve. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, as I say, you can find that in the description below. But if you've liked this video, make sure you subscribe for simple advice that actually works.